All right, guys, here we are, books 36 through 40. Remember, Beowulf only has 43 books, so we are almost done. So, books 36 through 40. Now, remember, 31 through 35 was all Beowulf becoming king, ruling for 50 years, telling the story of how he became king, what happened to Hygelac and Hygelac's brothers, and all of that stuff, and then finding out there's a dragon that's threatening his kingdom. Some guy broke into the dragon's hoard, stole some treasure. Dragon tracks him down, burns down Beowulf's mead hall. And so Beowulf says in his old age, okay, remember this, he's ruled as king for 50 years, which means that if he was in his early 20s, let's just assume he was in his early 20s when he went to fight Grendel. So if he's ruled for 50 years, that means Beowulf is in his 70s now. And now he says, I'm going to go fight this dragon by myself. I'm going to take 12 of you to come help me, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to face the dragon on my own. Dude, in his 70s. What's with this guy? Hasn't he done enough? No, he's got to go and got to try and take out the dragon. Well, he does. He goes in, he tries to take out the dragon. And it's not going good. His sword breaks from the heat and the pressure of like striking the dragon. And so Beowulf is hunkered down behind this big iron shield, trying to protect himself from the dragon's fire. And his 12 companions all see this, and 11 of the 12 are like, ain't no way I'm going in there. Deuces, I'm out. And they run for the woods. Only one guy stands. And that's where book 36 starts. This guy's name is Wiglaf, Wiglaf, pronounced Wiglaf. Wiglaf was he named, son of Weohstan, prince of the Skifflings, kinsman of Alfir, a loved shield warrior. This is a young guy. Again, late teens, early 20s. This is the first time he's ever been called by Beowulf to come fight for him. He has a sword that was left him by his father, that is an old sword. Third paragraph, he tries to get his comrades to come and help protect Beowulf. He's like, that fourth paragraph, one, two, three, yeah, fourth paragraph, top of page 53. Now is the day come that our liege lord hath need of the might of good warriors. Let us go to him, help our leader in battle, while the heat endure the grim terror of the flame. God knoweth of me, I would much liefer the fire should enfold my body with that of my giver of gold. That word lifer, Liefer, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line down on page 53. Life, Leif, is I would just as soon as, I would rather this happen. So this is the second text that I teach that has this word in it. The first is The Crucible by Arthur Miller, if you remember that one from your junior year. So Wiglaf says, I would rather go in, protect my lord, and die trying to help him than run off to the woods to save my own life like you guys have. So he does. He goes in and he says to Beowulf, dude, stay down behind your shield. I shall help you. And then the dragon comes after them a second time. And his shield gets burned away, so he ducks behind Beowulf's shield, but he's still got a sword. And so he strikes at the dragon with his sword, but it's not enough. The dragon reaches out and grabs Beowulf by the throat and bites his throat. Bottom of page 53. Then the spoiler of the people, the fell fire drake, was of mind a third time for the strife, rushed hot in battle grim upon the valiant one, when he gave him ground, and with his bitter fangs took in all the throat of the hero. Beowulf was bloodied with his life blood. The blood welled forth in waves. So Beowulf gets bit in the throat by the dragon while he and Wheeloff are still trying to battle this dragon. That's the end of book 36. Book 37 starts top of page 54. Then Wheeloff is enraged. He grabs his sword and starts hacking at the dragon. And then Beowulf comes to himself, pulls out his dagger, and starts stabbing the dragon for all he's worth. And then slices the dragon in two in the middle. So, like, ducks down. So, Beowulf, throat ripped open, blood gushing everywhere, takes his little dagger and ducks underneath the dragon and guts him. And that's his last grand act. Between Wheeloff and Beowulf, they slay the dragon, and Beowulf collapses. And it turns out that the dragon's bite was poison. And the poison is coursing through his veins. And Wheeloff, like, washes his face and neck and gives him some water. And Beowulf says to Wheeloff, "Now would I give my war weeds to my son, had I but any heir belonging to my body been given to follow me. I have ruled the people 50 years. No folk king was there of them that dwelt about me, durst touch me with his sword or cow me through terror. I bided at home the hours of destiny, guarded well mine own, sought not feuds with guile, swore not many an oath unjustly. Therefore, though sick now unto death with my wounds, I may have joy of it all, in that the ruler of men may not blame me for murder of kinsmen when life leaveth my body." He says, "I've been a good king. I haven't fought unnecessary wars. I haven't murdered people who didn't need killing. I've been a good and generous king, and I can go to God with a clear conscience. But I don't have a son who I can give my weapons and my kingdom to." So he says to Wheeloff, bottom of page 54, "Go check out this dragon horde. Go see what's there. I want to see what we fought to protect." So page 30, or book 38, page 55, Wheeloff goes underneath, grabs a couple of handfuls of this treasure, checks out the dragon's hoard and how beautiful it is, takes this stuff back to Beowulf to let him see, and Beowulf is bleeding out. He's dying. And he splashed some water on Beowulf's face to kind of snap him out of it. Page 55, Beowulf spake. The old man in his sorrow looked on the gold. "For these treasures I here behold, I give thanks in words to the Lord of all, the King of glory, the eternal Lord, for that it has given me ere the day of death to win the like for my people. Now I have trafficked the laying down of my life, nigh spent for this hoard of treasure. Look ye now to my people's needs. I may be here no longer. Bid the battle-famed warriors build me a fair mound after the burning on the sea headland. It shall lift itself for a reminder to my people, high on the whale's nest, that seafarers thereafter, that drive their deep ships afar o'er the mist of the floods, shall call it Beowulf's Barrow." The brave-hearted prince took from his neck a golden circlet, gave to his thane, the young spearsman, the gold-decked helm, his ring, and his byrnie, and bade him have his joy of them. "Thou art the last of the Wagmundings, our kindred. Weird hath taken away all my kinsmen, the earls in their might to their fate. I must after them." That was the last thought of the old king's heart ere he made choice of the pyre the hot death surges. His soul went forth from his bosom to find the award of the steadfast in right. Beowulf dies, but before he dies, he says, "Burn my body, and then build me a barrow, build me a grave high up on the plateau, right out on the edge of the peninsula, so that when people drive by in their ships, they can say, "There lies the mighty Beowulf." And then he gives his weapons and his armor and his badge of office to Beowulf. Says, "Rule my people and take care of them in my stead," and dies. Again, footnote here on book 39. That footnote is back on page 70. Now, book 39 here. The Beowulf sits there and he is with his king who's going to die, or who has died. And all these other guys come back out of the forest. And Beowulf chews their asses big time on page 57. He says, "You are a bunch of cowards." He says, "How dare you run off and leave our Lord when he needs you most? Now look, because of you, he's dead." He says, "I helped, as little as it was. I helped. And every time I struck the dragon with my sword, it did some damage. And it gave Beowulf the time to do what he needed to do to be able to kill the dragon." He says, "But he might still be alive today if you guys had actually come in and done what you were supposed to do." On the page 57, the bottom of book 39, he says, "Now shall taking of treasure and gift of swords, every joy you were born to and right of subsistence, fall or fail from your kindred. Every man of your homestead shall go void of his land right, after aethelings afar hear tell of your flight, of your infamous deed. Death is better for every earl than a life of dishonor." He says, "You have dishonored yourselves and your families. You are now stripped of title, of land, of all wealth, and you are cast out of my kingdom." In book 40, he says, "We need to tell people of Beowulf's death." He says, "Now, Beowulf, son of Weohstan, sit over Beowulf, one earl beside the other, lying lifeless, holdeth head watch with reverent care of friend and foe." And now they're worried about war. Footnotes 38 and 39. They're afraid now that everybody who didn't challenge Beowulf is going to come challenge Beowulf. It's going to challenge the kingdom of the Geats. They're looking for the Franks and the Frisians that Higelac had fought with. They're looking for the Merovingians, and some of you may recognize that name, Merovingian. They were of an ancient royal line in France, and some conspiracy theories, for lack of a better word, tie the Merovingians to the Holy Grail and say that the Merovingian line knows the whereabouts of the cup that supposedly caught Christ's blood during his crucifixion that he used at the Last Supper. But they're looking for all these people now who are going to come attack Beowulf's kingdom now that Beowulf isn't alive anymore. That is book 40, guys. That's on page 58. So, last reading selection coming up. That's books 41 through 43. Let's wrap up Beowulf in just a little bit.